Okay. Good afternoon to everybody. We are now here in our 16th session of the Filipino SDG Action Hour. We do this every Friday at 4 o'clock, and this is themed to the whole archipelago. We have a lot of universities involved in this program. Of course, we have our national scientists, members of the National Academy of Science and Technology, the National Research Council of the Philippines. And we are particularly beaming this particular program to our local government officials who are expected to solve the SDG problems in their localities. So we are trying to share knowledge from the center to the periphery, but hopefully so that we have actions at the local level. Okay, so our guest for today is Mr. Philip Cruz. He's the president of Herbanext, and he is going to tell us how they align to the SDGs. We always talk about the SDGs at the international and national level, but we don't have enough case studies of how organizations are pursuing it at the local level. So it's very opportune for us to listen to Mr. Philip Cruz, who will be talking to us about the Herbanext experience. And I think this is a follow-up of our discussions on the use of herbal medicine and traditional medicine, which we had last week. So we would like to give our listeners a lot of opportunity to ask questions later on. So Philip, are you ready?
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, I'm.
Okay. So please make your presentation. Welcome to the SDG Hour.
Thank you for inviting me in this event. I'm honored to be part of your SDG Hour, and allow me to share to you our experience as a company in the last couple of years, aligning with Sustainable Development Goals. So let me share my screen. I would just like to make sure, can you see my screen aligning with UNDP?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, thank you. So again, I'm Philip Cruz. I'm the president of Herbanext Laboratories. Just a moment, my slide is not moving. Wait, sorry. Okay.
Take your time.
Yeah, okay. So briefly about my company, we were established in 2001 as a natural products company engaged in the research and development of health and wellness products from Philippine biodiversity. Our primary goals are to undertake research on the safety and efficacy of Philippine medicinal plants, to manufacture therapeutic-grade standardized ingredients and products, to develop local processing technologies for Philippine botanical ingredients, and finally, to promote the cultivation of Philippine medicinal plants for livelihood development and biodiversity conservation. We are based in Bago City, Negros Occidental. It's 15 minutes away from Bacolod City. Our total factory area is 3,500 square meters. We have 3 farms totaling to 28 hectares, and with approximately 100 employees for the farm and the manufacturing plant. We are a licensed FDA manufacturer of food, drug, cosmetics, and household hazardous. We can manufacture capsules and tablets and syrups. May that be drug or food supplements. We do beverages like herbal teas, coffee, instant drink mix. We also do cosmetic products like massage oil, cream, lotion, and gel. And finally, we do ingredients from the raw material to standardized spray-dried extracts and to essential oils. Our main services are toll manufacturing and contract research. We have certifications for GMP, HACCP, and organic. Here is a partial list of medicinal plants that we work on at Herbanext. I'm sure you are familiar with most of this, and the bioactivities are also listed. We cultivate over 20 species of medicinal herbs. On the top left is your peppermint. On the top right is your 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗯𝗹 or roselle. It's a relative of gumamela. Lower left is sambong, and lower right is an endemic species of fig that very few people have heard of. It's called Ficus fiscae, and it is being developed now as an anti-inflammatory drug. And we manufacture various types of natural ingredients from these natural products, such as essential oils, oleoresin, spray-dried extracts, and seed oils. Here are examples of products that we manufacture from teas, instant beverages, capsules, functional foods, coffee, cosmetics, and several other products. So now going to the Sustainable Development Goals, I feel that we have achieved, or we are working on 9 out of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So allow me to discuss them to you briefly. First is good health and well-being. Of course, our products are herbal medicines, supplements. They're all related to health and wellness. Globally, there is a renaissance in the use of natural products for health and wellness. And to a large extent, this is due to the low yield of synthetic drug discovery pipelines and the vast available plant species that have not yet been studied for their pharmacological potential. So a lot of research is going back right now to natural products. And the trend towards natural products for health and wellness is tied up to the way of how herbal medicines work. Because in Western medicine, when we are working with synthetic drugs, doctors would like to work with a single compound at a time and see its pharmacological effects. However, in herbal medicines, we are talking of multiple, sometimes dozens of bioactive compounds that act on our body at the same time, and they create a different effect or process affecting our body. No? So many of these herbal medicines contain very, very small amounts of bioactive compounds when you compare them to herbal drugs. Yet, they can be as safe and effective. In fact, I would say safer, although they take effect over time, typically 2 weeks to 4 weeks before they show their effect. But the quantity of active ingredient is much, much lower than in synthetic drugs. That's why if you know how to use them properly, they are safer, or they can be much safer than drugs. Another reason why there is the renaissance or revival in the use of natural products, of herbal medicines, is that we can now produce these products as in standardized form that assure the potency and quality. The content of key active compounds are guaranteed, and this was not available in the past. We have studied a lot of medicinal plants, and we have seen raw materials that differ by as much as 20 times in the content of active ingredient. So standardization is really critical in the success of natural health products. And if these are science-based, they really are safe and effective medicines, particularly for chronic diseases. You can just look at the American USP, the United States Pharmacopoeia, and look at the registered natural products in the past 100 years or so. In 1916, there were 300 natural products in the Pharmacopoeia. This steadily dropped to its lowest of around 30 to 50 from 1975 to year 2000. But then, in the last 20 years, there has been a rapid revival of the use of herbal medicines, food supplements, all coming from natural products. So right now, there are over 500 monographs in the USP on natural products. So you can clearly see that the consumption of natural products has dramatically increased in the last 20 years. Unfortunately, DOST invested on the 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗶 program with a vision to produce world-class medicines derived from Philippine biodiversity, leveraging on local expertise. It was launched in 2012 with 28 partner institutions, 24 from academia and 4 from the industry. And we are fortunate, our company, to be the first private sector to be brought in the consortium. Currently, there are 17 members from Luzon, 6 from the Visayas, including Herbanext, and 5 from Mindanao. Basically, the framework of the 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗶 program under DOST PCHRD is that there is a herbal track and a drug track. The herbal track basically works on first collecting the herb, extracting this, testing this for bioactivity and toxicity, and producing the bioactive extract, and then we pass it to a confirmatory orthogonal assay, because the earlier tests were based on enzyme assays and they are not 100% reliable. So we do cell-based assays to validate the bioactivity. And then once we validate it, we do the standardization, and dosage formulation is done, and then it becomes your standardized herbal food supplement. So you do the preclinical studies with the dosage form formulation and animal testing. Now, if you add clinical studies, then it becomes a standardized herbal drug. The only difference between food supplement and herbal drug here is the clinical study. But if we are to recall, how do the typical herbal supplements, how are they made? Well, basically, you just get the leaves, you grind them, and put them in capsule. There's no extraction, bioactivity testing, animal studies. So this herbal track of the 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗃 program produces a product that is far superior than your regular food supplement. Now, there are certain bioactive extracts that contain highly bioactive compounds, and they can be isolated, purified, and the structure elucidated. And once these compounds are identified, or this compound is identified, some chemical manipulation is made to improve the safety and potency of the product, and then you do ADMET test, which is absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity. And then you go, same thing, to preclinical studies, clinical, and that's your synthetic drug. So these are isolates, purified compounds. We're still a long way from this one, but that is also the direction of 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃. So most of the products coming out right now from 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃 are from the herbal track. But quite recently, there was also the functional food track that was added, which is basically coming from the standardized extracts. But the intended use is for food and not for, or for functional food and not for food supplement. So as far as Herbanext is concerned, these are our output. We joined the 𝘀𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗃 program in 2013, and we focus our work on the standardization and scale-up of popular Filipino medicinal herbs. My other colleagues coming from the academe were focused on new plants, but since I'm coming from industry, I'm more concerned on plants that are already in the shelves that need further validation of their safety and efficacy. So it does not come as a surprise that we were the first one that were able to come up with commercial products. And our first product was launched in 2019. It was not intended to be launched yet during that time, but since there was a dengue epidemic, we decided to launch it with the support of PCHRD. So in the last couple of years, we have been working with we have produced 7 standardized medicinal herbs with the following bioactivities: 𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗃, that's for white blood cells that support dengue; anti-obesity, there's another herb as an anti-hypertensive, anti-diabetic, anti-inflammatory, and antioxidant. So these herbs are already in dosage form. They have already been tested for bioactivity and safety. The next thing really here is for the clinical study. For the 𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗃, actually, we had one clinical study already done and another one coming up soon. And another herb also is currently undergoing phase 1 clinical study, that's 𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃. So that is really the direction from preclinical to clinical studies to really demonstrate to industry that these products are safe for commercialization. Insofar as the total 𝘀𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗃 program is concerned, there are a total of, when I say top tier hits as written here, these are drug-like in activity, very active. So we have 17 plants as anti-diabetic. That includes the plants of Herbanext already, 8 anti-inflammatory, 2 anti-hypercholesterolemia, and 89% of these have no prior art, which means they are novel. Okay, so our second SDG is life on land and life below water. Biodiversity is our single most underutilized economic resource. Compounds from our forests and seas can be sources of novel drugs that can bring about huge economic benefit to Filipinos. And it is very important that this economic value are recognized by the general public and especially our local governments and local communities, so they will feel the need to protect these resources. Very few at the moment realize how valuable these resources are. As far as human health is concerned. So we have more than 32,000 species of terrestrial plants and animals, 60% of which are endemic. We have more than 10,000 species of aquatic plants and animals, and we are considered to be the center of marine biodiversity and evolution. And if you account for the microbiota, we're talking probably in the millions. So clearly, we have so much biodiversity and potential sources of novel compounds that can be turned into drugs, medicines, even food supplements and functional foods. Here are some of the successfully commercialized herbal drug, food supplements, and cosmetic ingredients coming from Philippine biodiversity. You have your lagundi, sambong, Philippine oregano, and coming soon are tsaang gubat and pansit-pansitan. For food supplements, you have ampalaya, banaba, kalingap, or your cinnamon, luyang dilaw, mangosteen, sinta or serpentina, takip kohol, and tawa-tawa. I'm sure there are more, but this would be the most prominent, the more prominent. And for cosmetic applications, you have your LME, ilang-ilang essential oil, patchouli essential oil, pili oil, rice bran oil, and BCO. So this is really just the top of the tip of the iceberg. We have so much resources in the Philippines that are yet to be discovered and developed. So there are actually only 2 global drugs that came out of Philippine biodiversity. I mean, we talk about the Philippines being a biodiversity center worldwide. We have 5% of the vascular plants with an area not even 1% of the world's area. So we are very gifted as far as biodiversity. But there are only 2 drugs that came out from the Philippines of global significance. You have erythromycin, originally isolated from 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗃𝗃 in Iloilo in 1953. Despite an old medicine, it remains in the WHO list of essential medicines. It was commercialized by Eli Lilly, and currently the annual sales, including the derivatives or other similar products that have been developed from this original product, are 3.2 billion annually. The other one is Prialt or 𝘂𝘂𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃. Of course, MSI played a big role of this. Ma'am Luli is an important contributor in the development of this product, but it's 1,000 times more powerful than morphine. And yearly, it's producing around 30 million in revenues for the manufacturer. It's actually not anymore Tercera Therapeutics now. It's a different company. So there you see just 2 products with over $3 billion annually in revenues. What is really the value of our biodiversity in terms of the pharmaceutical industry? And this is what I would like to highlight because very few people are aware of this. So if you look at the value of selected herbal drugs and supplements, even supplements, these are some of the ones that can be produced from the Philippines. Of course, marijuana, cannabidiol, it's a $4.6 billion industry. And I already mentioned erythromycin, $3.2, including its derivatives. Curcumin from your turmeric, the global sales is 60 million annually. And I mentioned 𝘂𝘂𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃, 30 million. Okay. How much do we get from the extractive industries that continue in the Philippines every year? Fisheries. Our seas are heavily depleted and we get, what, 3 billion a year. Just one compound, cannabidiol or erythromycin, can produce more than what our entire country can produce in its fisheries. Just one compound. Mining, $2 billion a year. And basically, this wipes out our plant resources in that area. How many plants have become extinct because of mining? Just $2 billion for comparing it to, again, other just single novel compound or single compound that can run in the billions. And forestry, for the very little forest we have left, is generating us 50 million annually. So what you can earn from curcumin, turmeric, is more than what you can earn from the entire forestry of the Philippines in 1 year. So clearly, there is no comparison. biodiversity-derived medicines can be found in the Philippines, in many places in the Philippines, and we haven't really taken advantage of its economic potential. Then let's go to my third SDG, poverty, no poverty. Herbal medicines and products generates jobs and livelihood. Medicinal plants cultivation medicinal plants is considered a high value crop, and they require little inputs and are therefore suitable for small farmers. If you look at China, the world's biggest market of herbal medicines, they employ 2 million farmers of medicinal plants cultivating some 100 species in an area of around 460,000 hectares. That's about the size of the entire Negros Island. India has around 150,000 medicinal herb farmers, while Indonesia probably around 20,000. In the Philippines, despite all those biodiversity we have and all those potential medicines that can come out of our forests and seas, I don't think we even have 1,000 farmers of medicinal plants. In fact, we import a lot of medicinal plants. So if you look at the supply chain, jobs can be created not only on the farmer level, but also throughout the supply chain, consolidators, raw material processors, ingredient manufacturers. So all this in yellow are jobs created from producing medicines from medicinal plants. And I made some pencil pushing that for every million consumer of herbal products, not necessarily drug, as long as you take it every day, as much as 10,000 farmer jobs can be created, earning at least 5,000 per month. That is a large amount of jobs, and that's just for every million. And if you compare that with imported medicines, I'm sure the job generated is very, very small. So here are some pictures of jobs generated from medicinal plants. On the top left, these are Atis, like Aita, but the Ati tribe here in Negros coming from Isabela, they're delivering tawa-tawa to my plant. And there are some times that they deliver to me as much as 2 tons, and I buy it from them anywhere from 30 to 40 pesos. So it contributes definitely a lot to their local community. On the middle, of course, is Lagundi, which is widespread already the cultivation. Lower left is your lemongrass. So this is a friend of mine here in Negros. He is Dutch. He is a recipient of the Ramon Magsaysay Award. What he did was to develop a system of producing essential oils up in the mountains so that he can become very competitive. Because normally what I would be doing if I were producing the essential oil is that I would be tracking the plants all the way from the mountains down to my plant. I have to hire a truck, and then I have to pay electricity, water, I have to pay, of course, minimum wage, etc., etc. It's very costly for me to produce these essential oils. That's why I cannot compete with imported essential oils. But what this guy did is he miniaturized everything and put it in the mountains. So in short, he can produce essential oils cheaper than imported essential oils coming from India or Indonesia. So he is giving jobs to plenty of families. There are 3 sites already in Negros that have adopted his technology. On the middle part, that is from my company, we are lecturing on good agriculture practices, good harvesting practices to our harvesters from the IP community. And then on the rightmost is another farmer of medicinal herb. So no question about it. Medicinal plants can help in poverty alleviation. And with regards to climate action, livelihoods generated from the cultivation of medicinal plants can help reduce deforestation. And why do I say that? There's an opportunity actually to farm beech forest species that are medicinal, and they can generate livelihood, income to the coastal communities, and at the same time, it will help protect their coastal zones. It will help protect their coastal zones. Right now, if you go around, there's really no crop being grown in our beaches or coastal areas because there's no agricultural crop of relevance that can be grown there. But I've looked at it, there are a number of beech forest species that can really be grown in these areas and generating livelihood and creating a new source of raw materials, as I will be elaborating in a little while. Farming of medicinal plants in forest fringes, buffer zones can also help reduce collection pressure on protected sites. So the farming of medicinal plants and its utilization can indirectly have a significant, I think, contribution to climate climate action, number 13. So medicinal plants can be a platform also for village-based ecotourism that can supplement income of marginalized communities. So here is an example of trees I've listed that can be planted in coastal zones that can be valuable raw materials for the medicinal or for the herbal industry. Alagao for cough. Bitaog is highly valued as a cosmetic oil. It's also called tamano. It's well known in the Polynesian countries. And hindi natin pinapansin masyado sa Philippines. Dakdak is also a well-studied tree, the leaves of which are widely used in India as a herbal medicine. Malabago, noni, sibukao, sulasi. All of these are well studied and have significant medicinal properties. So here in the photo is a line of bitaog trees, and bitaog trees are centenary trees. They can definitely help in storm surges. And these are the seeds, and this is the extracted oil that we extracted. If you do some research on it, it is a valued cosmetic oil, and actually it's being studied right now as a source of biodiesel also. Although I would say cosmetic would be a more valuable use for it. So there are many trees like this or plants also that can be similarly planted in forest fringes around reserves that can be a source of livelihood for our marginalized farmers so that they do not enter the protected zones and contribute to the problem. These are examples of real problems I have faced. On the left one is a picture of some people making charcoal. This is just very near my farm. The place is called Salong, Barangay Salong, or Sitio Salong, because there used to be plenty of salong trees there, or your Agathis philippinensis. So, I asked an ate, an IP who works sometimes with us delivering herbs. I said, are there herbs near our farm that you are using for your medicine? Sabi niya, yes, I'll bring you there. He was shocked to see the last salong tree in Salong made into firewood. So for us lowlanders, the value of this is just firewood, but for them, this is medicine. So here in Mambukal, you can see this is a protected site. Even a child collecting firewood from the forest. And here on the lower right, another protected site. There are local guides, and they should be the one watching the visitors not to collect plants, but here you can see they were the ones that facilitated collecting the plant because there's really not enough income for them. So unless we solve the problem of alternative livelihood, then biodiversity conservation is really a losing battle. And I think this is the fifth, industries, innovation, and infrastructure, from farm to farm. So Negros is a monocrop island with over 85% of the arable land planted to sugarcane. Herbanext is helping diversify agriculture in the island through the farming of medicinal plants, large-scale processing of raw materials. We really had to invest on a substantial processing facility, and also on the production of safe and effective health and wellness products. So since 2011, we have been pioneering many advanced manufacturing technologies for the commercial production of therapeutic-grade botanical ingredients. These are some photos around our plant for the extraction and the spray drying. So this is the first such facility in the Philippines. And that is why we are playing an important role in the 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀 program, because we're producing extracts in large scale and supplying it to the different universities for scale-up studies. And in 2020, with financial support from DOST Business Innovation through Science and Technology Program, we invested in the Applied Research and Innovation Laboratory for the development and scale-up of lab-scale technologies. We realized, having worked in the 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀 program since 2013, we realized that all universities have the problem of what to do with their lab-scale product. Because if you offer that product to a commercial company, the first thing they're going to ask you is, how much does it cost? And nobody can answer that. So that's why we set up this scale-up facility, so that that problem is specifically addressed and refinements in the manufacturing technology can be made. And then for the partnerships and goals, so we have worked significantly on partnerships and collaborative projects to support the development of the herbal industry. I mentioned already the 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 Consortium and many other universities. So we have been working in the last couple of years with UP Diliman, UP Manila, Ateneo, UP Mindanao, UST, UPLB, and several other universities. And I'm thankful that the 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 program, we have been able to work closely with the academia, and that has also strengthened our position in R&D. We have also been implementing thesis for change program for maybe almost 10 years or more than 10 years already. On the average, we get 5 students a year to work in our lab. We partly subsidize their research. At the moment, there are 4 students in our facility from UP Visayas doing their thesis with us. And we have invested heavily on internships, and this was the request of schools, because as you very well know, due to the COVID pandemic, students have no exposure in outside of their house. So we accepted a flood of interns. Of course, we had to charge them something, because it was actually their proposal that we charge them, and we accept as much of their students. So last year we did 600. We are probably going to do a little more than this year. And for this internship, this includes pharmacy students, chem students, mostly pharmacy, chem, but also chem, food tech, chem-eng, even mechanical engineer. But what we're doing here is to familiarize them with the herbal industry with the hope that they will support the growth and development of this industry wherever they will be assigned when in their professional careers. We have also opened our lab to students for laboratory services because here in the region 6, there are very few labs that accept or most of the schools do not have enough facility to do proper experiments. So 71 students from last year, and we are part of the UNDP Access Benefit Sharing. This will be the first test of how to really share the benefits of commercialization of an herb, and this herb is going to be banaba.
Philip,
Yes.
the audience is dying to ask questions. Is it possible for you to answer some of these questions now?
I'm almost done. I'll finish it na lang.
Oh, sige, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, sige. Continue.
So we're putting up also a community herbal pharmacy next month. This is the first project we're doing with nursing students who have adopted some communities, and I like the idea a lot because a student is assigned to a family starting on their second year, so there will be close monitoring of the use of herbs. These are just some of the studies we have been doing in the last couple of years. I will not go through this anymore. And these are recent pictures of our interns. And this would be the last. Philippines is a gold mine of natural products. By 2050, the global market is projected to reach 5 trillion. Herbal medicines are growing at 7%, and if you compare to only 4.5% for pharmaceutical products, so something must be really happening right with herbal medicines. And work opportunities in the natural products industry, I would say, is more or less equal for men and women because it's not as labor intensive as your conventional crops. So last 2 or 3 slides, this is just the growth of the food supplement industry, 7% per year. These are our workers in the farm. On the average, 70% of our R&D people are female, but 70% of our workforce in the farms and processing are male. So we're about neutral. In conclusion, supporting health and wellness products from Philippine biodiversity will reduce reliance on imported drugs and imported natural ingredients, promote local manufacturing of APIs and botanical ingredients, lower the cost of medicines in healthcare for some products, develop high-value crops for small farmers, which is very important, create local jobs along the supply chain, and finally, enhance conservation to the higher value use of our resources. Okay, that's my last slide. So I'm now open for questions.
Okay.
Thank you for your attention.
Philip, that was really such a treat. I haven't heard a package of such good news as a Filipino in a long time. And I feel so happy that we invited you to give us this thing that has opened our minds and our eyes to things that we have not seen. So, well, I'll give the opportunity to our audience to ask questions. Who will be the first one?
Hi, Dr.
Academician Ruben, please.
All right. First of all, Philip, napakaganda mo ng presentation.
Salamat po.
You have excellent presentation. Hindi ko malaman ng itatanong ko, but I have 2 for you. Ang una, alam mo, hindi naman palaging may supply ng mga raw material. So, how do you, ano strategy nyo for the continuity of supply of raw materials? Isa yan. Para tuloy-tuloy na sagot mo. Ang pangalawa naman, how do you prioritize what herbal medicine to produce? Dahil saksakan ang dami niyang pwedeng pasukan. Pero paano ang ginagawa niyo? Thank you.
Thank you for those questions po. Very important questions. So, I would answer first your second question. How do we prioritize? We prioritize based on number one, if the raw material can be scaled up easily. So, in the Tuklas Lunas program, there are many top tier hits, but some of them are like barks. It's gonna be very difficult and costly to scale up barks. Probably those will be more suitable for synthesis of the active compound. So number one for me is availability of the raw material. Number two for me would be availability of raw material in the wild muna, no? Because initially we have to get from the wild just to start up the project. The second would be ease of farming. Ease of farming. It has to be easy to farm and profitable to farm. Because if pet-shy is more profitable for the farmer to farm, they will not farm your medicinal herb. So it has to be easy to farm. And then also important is easy to standardize. I mean, you know what you're trying to standardize because there are many compounds. And then, of course, the application. Is it a high volume application? Is it a profitable application? Because bottom line, this is all about making money to be sustainable. If I cannot make money on the application kasi konting-konti lang yung gamit, then I will not prioritize that. I think those would be the four top basis of my prioritization.
At saka siguro maganda bayad nyo. Magandang bayad sa mga farmers na nagbibigay sa inyo ng supply ng raw material. Pagkat kung hindi mabayad, aalisan kayo niyan eh.
Ano?
Kaya magandang binabayad nyo. You pay
well.
You pay well.
Yes. I'm really intending to, because I know my production cost, so I can cost the herb. But if it is somebody who doesn't know his production cost kasi nagsisimula pa, then they're forced to buy at a low price, and that's gonna discourage the farmer. So I know, for example, Banaba is being bought in Zambales at 5 pesos. If I can produce my standardized product and value the product at a certain price, I can buy it 15, 20 pesos. So I think part of the responsibility of those who commercialize herbal products is to be able to buy the raw materials at a fair, attractive price to the farmers, because that is the only way to make it sustainable. So I also choose the application. Kasi kung low value application like metformin, magkano bang metformin? Napakamura niya, no? So kung anti-diabetic, hindi ko masyadong malalagyan ng value yung product. Therefore, everything has to be cheap. And that is not very attractive for the farmers.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Aren, sino yung susunod natin na magtatanong?
Sir, we have questions in the chat box. So we have one from Academician Primavera. Sabi niya po, what is the policy of Herbanext with respect to publication of results in scientific papers?
Yeah, we actually publish, but of course, understandably, we cannot publish information critical or important in our manufacturing. But as to the science of the herb, we have no problems with that. So we have made that conscious decision to be more open to publication. And of course, because of that one, we have a lot of researchers that also want to work with us. There are just some technologies on the manufacturing side that we would want to keep muna for ourselves. Because, you know, with all effort we have invested here for more than 20 years, one big company can just follow what we did and kill my company overnight. I have to be careful also.
Okay. So next, Karen.
Okay po. So next question is from Mr. 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗏. Good PM, sir. What are your insights using marijuana as medical drugs or medicinal plant? Also, what or how do you consider if a plant is medicinal? As we notice that some medicinal plants is just commonly seen and pop up on our yards. Thank you po.
Okay, on the first question, yes, I do believe that it is something that we have to do some research, because no brainer, it's already a large commercial success in the US, in Europe. Thailand has gone into it already, and we have been producing marijuana for who knows how long, more than 100 years. So we just have to develop it for its proper use, because it really has benefits to some health applications. I'd like to share to you one particular application a friend of mine shared. His business is on birds, parrots. He says that one of the effective medicines for parrots for a problem that they have when they're like stressed, they start plucking their feathers and they become bald, is marijuana. No? So hindi lang human application ito, even animal health. So we should treat it as a potential herbal drug. So anybody interested to research on this one, sama niyo ako ah. Okay, yung next question is how do we choose? So two ways. One is I would say dapat ideally merong traditional use siya. Because if there's traditional use, you're pretty sure half of your problem of safety is solved already. And then, of course, kung popular na siya na traditional use, you can really commercialize it already as a food supplement. But if you want to make it into a drug, then you really have to pass it through safety, especially safety studies. Because one thing very different with herbal products or herbal drugs compared to pharmaceutical drugs is that when we take herbal products in the past, normally we will just may ubo tayo, may lagnat, inom tayo, a few days, after that, that's it. But right now, if you're going to take herbal products as a drug, you're gonna take it every day for the rest of your life. Then yun ang problema natin. Very few studies na long-term toxicity studies. So it's very possible na several of our herbal products, pag ginamit mo long-term, merong potential toxicity. So my solution to that is you just rotate different products para if ever may risk. Kung hindi kayo sigurado, you rotate different herbal products. But if you're sure, kasi nakagawa na ng long-term safety studies, then you can take it every day. There's really no problem with herbal products taken every day as long as proven na siya safe, no? My very first product at Herbanext is called 𝘀𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗏, and I've researched a lot on it, and it is taken every day by hundreds and thousands of people. So that was my very first product I went into. Sige, yun lang muna for now.
Okay. So
Okay.
next question.
Opo. So, meron na po tayong comment from Academician Primavera. Ang sinabi po niya, aside from the 6 species that you mentioned, there are so many more beech forest species with traditional medicinal uses. In the first place, the beech forest was the first botica for coastal dwelling Filipinos. We just need to do a bit more literature review. And then yung last question po that we'll be having for this episode is from Academician Villarreal. So curious lang daw po si Sir if ano po yung pinaka-expensive na medicine na meron kayo and bakit po siya expensive?
Yeah, commenting lang kay
Eugene.
Academician Primavera, yes, sa tingin ko, it's really an untapped resource na pwedeng ma-develop, and it, as I mentioned, I think it will generate livelihood, it will do coastal protection. We just need a serious study on this one. Anybody who wants to work with this one, I would love to collaborate because nakita ko na anong saan ito papunta. And I am an aquaculturist by profession, so I have strong affinity to the sea, and I know there are many things there that can be turned into medicine. Regarding the second question, what is the most expensive? Very difficult. I would say essential oils. Essential oils would be priced in the potentially 15,000, 20,000. They would be one. And crude herbal extracts are not yet that expensive. They range anywhere from 3,000 to 8,000. But if you try to semi-purify or purify it, then that's gonna be expensive already. So I have no particular answer to your question of which is most expensive. Ginger is also quite expensive because mahal ang ginger. I'm sure if I extract luya, it's gonna be, tawag nito, not luya. I forgot the name of that spice, but yeah, depending on the herb. And the recovery also, very important.
Okay. I think that is the last of our questions. We have to end at 5 o'clock. But people were suggesting that, Philip, that we wanted to invite you again sometime to give us an update. Mukhang patok na patok itong presentation mo. Well, also because it is such a good food for the soul and the spirit that you have talked about our herbs, something that many of us have neglected and disregarded. So thank you very much for that. So we end this episode here. Please be with us again next week. We will have another episode. So let's give Mr. Philip Cruz a big hand. Palakpakan po natin ang ating panauhin for sharing
Maraming salamat
this time with us.
Thank you very much for
salamat
your
po.
time.
Maraming salamat po. Marami pong nanonood sa atin.
Ay, si Luli ito. Maraming salamat, Philip, for agreeing to be our guest in such a short notice. Na kahit na busy si Philip, pinaunlakan niya tayo.
Yeah.
Thank you also, ma'am, for inviting me because I really wanted to get this message across as much people. That's why kahit na medyo very tight in schedule, I love to do this.
Yeah, ang gusto ko yung sa, it helps sa poverty alleviation and biodiversity conservation.
Oo nga.
And the training of our young ones.
Si Greg.
Thank you, Day. Philip, congratulations. Tulad ng marami sa amin dito, gusto kong ipaabot yung aking pagbati sa napakagandang presentation. Ang gusto ko lang malaman, ito bang iyong pananalita o yung iyong karanasan dito sa Herbanext, na ibahagi na to sa mga LGU? Nagkaroon na ba ng mga pagtitipon ng LGU? Hindi.
Not LGU. Pero gusto ko lang pumaano na I think very solid yung concept na developing itong medicinal applications in conservation, also in livelihood development. But I think maganda if we can really start packaging this before talking to LGUs, no? I already had bad experience before presenting an idea na hindi ganun ka concrete and it was taken by a government institution and it was modified according to their interest, and
Ay.
sayang na sayang yung project. And I'm talking of the mariculture part because I started that concept of the mariculture part.
Okay.
So maybe I don't know if this can be some sort of a project ng NRCP. I would love to help, and I know this will really have an impact. I'm also part of the board of the Foundation for the Philippine Environment, and I've made it a point na yung to help as much as I could in biodiversity conservation. Thanks to Ma'am Georgine, I'm part of that.
Si Rod na interesado ako dun sa failure ng Mariculture Park. Philip, I hope you can share with us one time, no, even in private, what happened to that endeavor of Mariculture Park failure, how it happened. It should not happen again. Diba? Medyo nagulat ako dyan, ha? Department of Agriculture ba yan?
It was supposed to be a mariculture livelihood park, and
Yes.
it became a commercial venture, and a lot of people made money, and that was not my original idea.
So it's not a government, it was not a government project? Sorry, I cannot open.
It was taken over by the government to be, in particular, BIFAR, but taken out of context, no?
Yeah.
So it
Kasi
was
minsan
started
yung mga Pilipino, yung pandesal, hot pandesal effect na gaya-gaya, tapos hindi naman well studied and so on, and then ang government hindi nagbibigay ng tamang guidance. So thank you, Philip, for all the sharings. Maraming salamat, and congratulations talaga.
Thank you po,
Natutuwa
ma'am.
kami sa
Thank
iyong
you,
mga
everybody, for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thanks, Ma'am Luli, for inviting me.
Thank you.
Okay, so see you on Friday for our 17th na ba yun? Our 17th?
Yes, sir. Tama po.
Galing. Okay. Sige.
Happy weekends to everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.